Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, Lord, at the hour of our death. Amen. All right, we're going to get our afternoon started. We still have food out there. It's going to be out there for about another 20 minutes or so. So help yourself if you want to continue to eat until it's still out there. And we're going to have a great afternoon. Thanks, Dewey. The first thing I actually want to say, as you guys heard, that our Grand Knight, Jacob Kaczynski, is not going to be here today because his wife ended up in the emergency room. So, of course, he needs to be with his wife and his family. So that's why he's not here today. So what he would have gotten this today, because his term of the 2 years of being Grand Knight will end at the end of June. So, and his son was here this morning, and I showed his son, and we're going to give it to him later. But what it says is Jacob Kaczynski, Grand Knight, 2019 to 2021, a job well done. Damon Hildebrand, Council 650. So next month or so, I hope we'll be able to give this to him. And I just want to give Jack a round of applause for being a Grand Knight. And if everybody could keep Jack and his family in your prayers for him, so he ends up being good with his wife and she can come home and everything be great. So I asked our mayor, along as a brother Knights of Columbus, to do me a favor, and if I can get Harry Theodore to come on up.
You know, as Mike said, being a Knight involves giving and caring for others. That's what we do as Knights. It's a special calling, but it's not just Knights that do that. And Harry has been serving the village of Addison for how many years, Harry?
30 plus.
30 plus. That's in addition to his trustee years. And he has been a huge supporter of the Knights of Columbus. When we were having trouble getting people on the corner to be selling Tootsie Rolls, Harry would be out there. He has been a great ally, a great friend, and he has been smart enough to decide not to run for re-election. So we both were sworn in the same evening. So we've had a long history together.
Oh, yes.
And like I said, he was the wiser of the two. And so he's going to be enjoying his retirement, vacation, and everything else, his family. So on behalf of the Knights of Columbus, I'd like to present you, Harry, with this award, which says, in grateful appreciation of your 29 years of dedicated service to the village of Addison. Damon Hildebrand Council, 650. Harry, congratulations. Thank you very, very much.
Want to say a couple of things?
I just want to say I love this town. It's the greatest place to live. You raise your family, you go through a condo, and in another 10 years you're buying a bigger house. This is the place where you can do that and feel comfortable. I love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
One of our personal things I actually like to say about Harry. So I run the ID drive for our council, which is the Tootsie Roll Drive. And, you know, anybody can come and help, you know, be on the corners and help pass out Tootsie Rolls and collect money and all this other stuff. And I don't want to say that Harry's a little older, but Harry's a little older. And I don't know how old he was at the time. And Harry comes to me and says, I want to come and help on the street and collect money and give out Tootsie Rolls. I'm like, Harry, why don't you go in front of Capoodles? Nope, I'm going to be in front of the street. So Harry always came out, and I don't know how he did it, but he outshined some of the young guys that were out there. So thank you, Harry, for everything you did for us. So I need to mention a few people here. I'd like to acknowledge a few people. So Mayor Rich Veenstra and Brother Knight. Deputy Mayor Tom Hundley and Brother Knight. Village Trustee Bill Lynch. Village Trustee Don O'Brien. Village Trustee, actually new Village Trustee, J. Del Rosario and Brother Knight. Everyone's favorite, Village Clerk Lucille Zaccaro. Former Addison Village Mayor Larry Hartwig. And of course, another favorite, former Addison Village Trustee Harry Theodore. One of my personal favorites, former Addison Fire Chief Don Murkowski. We have a couple newcomers to our group, which we are very glad to be here today. From Addison Township, Township Trustee Donna Tavello. Town Clerk Pam Moretti. From the Addison Police Department, Addison Deputy Chief Roy Salvik. Another personal favorite of mine, Sergeant Tony Rita. I guess I got a lot of favorites on here. So, from the Illinois State Council, Knights of Columbus, Frank Schwartz, our state deputy. Mike Blackburn, state advocate-elect. Ty Simmons, new state officer, new council development, and his wife, Jane. And hopefully I don't screw these up. Illustrious Sir George Stymick and his lady Cheryl. Chief Urban Tracy Burcham and his lady Nui. Illustrious Sir Past Potentate Lance Evan and his lady Debbie. Rick Miller and his lady Katie. And my favorite deacon, I don't know where he's at. My favorite deacon, Phil Heinz, and his wife, Norma. I do want to mention some past Grand Knights here as well. So past Grand Knight, Dave Switchenberg. Past Grand Knight, Mike Provenzino. Past Grand Knight, John Malone. Past Grand Knight, Don Frost. Past Grand Knight, Tom Hundley. Past Grand Knight, Tony Danello. And past Grand Knight, Mike Bruns. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So Lance is actually pointing at me, and I don't normally do this because she always gets mad at me. But she doesn't normally come, but I would like for everybody to, anyway, my wife's here. My wife, Delia. Oh, Pete Sardinia. I'm sorry, past Grand Night, Pete Sardinia. Sorry. So, anyway, thanks, Cannoli. If anybody, some people know, some people don't, her name is Delia. Her nickname for me, to her, is Cannoli, so. Long story, but someday I will tell you. So, you have to kind of indulge me a little bit here. With Jack not being here, I really don't have an agenda. So I'm just gonna kind of wing this a little bit. If Mr. Schwartz, if you can come up here and say a few words.
So let me start out the story of how I ended up here. Mike called me a while back, did not know what my schedule was going to be at that time. Ty Simmons and I went out to dinner, and then during the time I was texting Mike Blackburn, who was out in Idaho, but was going through the national park out there. And he sent out a text earlier in the week that he could not go anywhere unaccompanied in the park because of grizzly bears, wolves, coyotes, and I forget the other one. And he said, and those aren't basketball teams or professional sports teams. It's for real. So I put down my phone on my console when I left Calamity Jane's out in Sugar Grove, and I butt dialed Mike, and I said, well, really, it wasn't a butt dial because you were on my podium in my car. So that's how I ended up here. People always have that one or two special counsels that they kind of gravitate to. Mike's counsel for me has been one of those counsels. It goes back to when I was KC Academy director, and I won't tell you how many years ago that was. But the bottom line was, it was always a counsel that was active, not only in the church, but in their community, and they exemplify what a counsel should do as a Knight of Columbus. They take care of all people in the area that they serve. This council has been very strong in their community. They've been very strong in the support of the armed forces. They've been very strong in their support of the church. So the members of this council have done what I would say is what a knight actually is. Men of honor, men of courage, men who, when they unite together, no one can defeat, nor can any pandemic keep them down. So when I heard that they're giving away $21,000+ today, that would probably be in the state of Illinois, based upon the pandemic, one of about 4 councils in the whole state of Illinois that were able to give away money like that. The pandemic was no joking matter, but it was obvious that some councils never let the pandemic keep them down. My team and I went across the state, north, south, east, and west during the last 2 years, putting on what we coined as road shows, and we spread that word. Our founder, Father Michael J. McGivney, died during the Spanish flu pandemic in the early 1900s when he came down with complications with pneumonia. So for us, this hit really close to home, knowing all the things that a pandemic can take from you. My officers, my directors, and I would not let the pandemic help keep the Knights of Columbus voice silent. We went all over the state. These were men of courage, men of honor, men of integrity, but most of all, they reached out to brother knights all over the state, their families, our churches, and a lot of times we went to restaurants and we all wear the state shirt, so we go around looking like, We're in uniform of some sort. And people would ask, what do you guys do and what are you doing? We would explain. Most of the time that would be Ty Simmons. He was a spokesperson for the group. This is what we do, this is what we're doing, this is why we're out. And oftentimes, people were simply amazed that people were out and were doing things. Then we decided, like they used to have those chicken pox parties at one point in time, so that you bring all the neighborhood kids over and you get them all in the house same time, make sure that they all get it at the same time in the neighborhood. So somebody thought that would be a good idea to do to us with COVID at one of our state meetings. So we all went through this experience of COVID. And I would tell you that it's not anything, if you haven't had it, that you really want to see if you can get. It's not a fun thing. The reason for all the background and all the stories is the Knights of Columbus never were kept down by the pandemic. And I believe that's because each one of the men that I have on my team have a great faith base. I told them one night when we were like, what are we doing and why are we doing this? We talked about our belief system, we talked about what we do. And I said, there's only one person, one entity that could ever call us home, and that would be God our Father. And when he calls you, you won't know when. There will be no arguments. He's just gonna say it's time to come home. So with that, I want to thank all of you for being here. I know many of you that are part of this council have done the work that's going to be able to donate the money here today. Thank you for being Knights of Columbus, but most of all, thank you for being men of courage. Viva Jesus.
So if everybody looked on their table, you guys see little buntini cakes, and it says, it's actually from Nothing But Bun Cakes, correct, Conley? Nothing Bun Cake? Close enough. But anyway, they're little tiny cakes. They say number 50 on there, so the little 50s on there should have been for somebody's 50th birthday. But in all actuality, that is actually somebody's 50th birthday, and that is the 50th anniversary of this particular brunch. So it's 50 years that we've been doing this brunch, giving money away, and I think that by itself is more than we can actually say or do because of what we do. So as our council, we appreciate everybody being here, and more so than anything else, we are glad that you are here to help us celebrate our 50th anniversary of having this brunch, giving money away, and having people to come every year to support this. So I applaud everybody that's part of our council, and probably most of the people that are also here actually have something to do with helping us, because it's actually people that help us so we can help them is a big thing. Judy Socha, she runs a lot of the blood drives here in town. She's actually a very special lady. And you want to come up, Judy? She's just going to talk a little bit about the blood drives that she does here in Addison.
Well, good afternoon. I'm very honored to have been asked to present something to you today about giving blood. The only way I can do this is to kind of tell you why I give blood. My story begins 50 years ago. I think that's the buzzword today, 50. July 19th of 1971. At that time, I was a very young mom. I was 28, and I had 4 children expecting my 5th, good Catholic. My oldest one was 6 and a half, little girl. My next one, Ricky, was 5. Kevin was 3.5, Stephen was 2, and our new baby was due in a month. It was quite a handful, let me tell you. So the week that I'm referring back to is when it had been a hot July, really, really hot. And every one of my kids ran a fever. What the heck is this? They're handing it to each other or what? But they all had it at the same time, crabby, ornery. So of course I called my favorite friend, the doctor. In those days, you could call Dr. Kruglia-Novus's office for 1 hour in the morning. So I did, and you actually talked to a doctor. And I said, I don't know what to do. He goes, well, there's a goofy virus going around. They probably have it. Keep them in. Thank you very much. Keep them in, give them a lot of fluids, Tylenol if they have a fever, and it'll be gone in a couple days. That seems to be the norm. Well, he was right, almost right. But Friday, my son Ricky just didn't feel good. He kept saying, Mommy, my tummy hurts. I don't feel good. And he lay down and sleep. The other kids all went out to play. So I figured, well, maybe he's taking a little longer. On Saturday morning, when he got up, he felt fine. Absolutely fine. No fever, no anything. And he got to go outside and play, which is what he wanted to do. But that night, when I was giving him a bath, I noticed on his chest there was a bruise the size of a quarter, dark bruise. I looked at him and I said, how did you get that? Did you fall? No, Mom. Does it hurt? No. I was kind of concerned, but you know, he's a little boy, right? So the next day, Mass in the morning, and then we went to Lombard Park. In those days, Lombard Park had a park that had sand and swings and slide. They had a wonderful time. Filthy, dirty, grubby little hands and whatever. On the way home, though, Ricky fell asleep in the car, which is kind of unusual for a kid 5 years old in the middle of the afternoon. But I got him home, ate dinner, and again, I'm getting him ready for bed. And I noticed there's another bruise on the other side of his chest, just as dark, just as black. And I got alarmed. Does it hurt, Ricky? No, Mom, it doesn't hurt. Ricky went to bed and he had a really restless night. He just tossed and turned and moaned most of the night. Well, of course, at 7 o'clock the next morning, I called Dr. Kruglia. I said, something's wrong. Well, what is it? I said, he's got these 2 bruises. And he goes, wait a minute, Judy. He's a little 5-year-old boy. They get bumps and bruises. I said, I know, but there's something wrong. I know there is. Okay, I'm all alone in the office today, but bring him in late afternoon. And my husband and I did bring him in. It was a very strange visit. Doctor walked in, checked him, walked out, walked in, walked out. Finally, he came in and he said, well, I'm really not sure what he has, but I think it might be a blood disorder of sorts. I want you to go to Gottlieb. They're going to do blood tests. They'll check him out there, and he probably should stay overnight for observation. This was scary as heck. He's a little 5-year-old. But we got him there, and it was funny because he didn't even fight us. He was so lethargic, all he wanted to do was sleep. So we left that night, and of course, I don't know if you know 1971, you could not stay at a hospital. You had to leave, 8 o'clock, visiting hours over. So we left our little guy there with fear, with anxiety. At 7 o'clock the next morning, the phone rang. It was Dr. Kruglia. And his words, I can hear them in my head right now. Judy, I'm so sorry. He has leukemia. Leukemia. I got to tell you, I had heard the word, but I had no idea what this meant. I just didn't know. It wasn't until he said cancer that I realized what this little guy had. He said, we can't take care of him here. We don't have the means. You're going to have to go to a hospital that deals with children with this disease. So we packed him up and took him to Children's Memorial. When we got down there, they were so efficient. Immediately he got checked in. They started doing blood tests. They did a bone marrow. They did a spinal tap. They had to confirm the disease, and they also had to know how far it had gone. It was kind of a nightmare. He was very, very scared, but he felt so sick. He didn't fight us in any way. Late afternoon, they brought us into a small room, my husband and I. and I don't know why I remember it being so small, maybe because I was so scared. But the table was not much wider than this. We sat down on one side of it, and this older lady walked in. And she said, "My name is Dr. Myla Pierce. I'm an oncologist. I will take care of Ricky, and I will do treatment for him." I remember feeling, I didn't even know what to ask. Neither of us did, you know. She said, "This is a devastating disease. People don't get better from this disease." And then she grabbed both of our hands and she said, "Do you know what this disease is?" And I think both of us nodded. You know. She said, "Ricky is going to die." Those words that we wouldn't allow our thoughts to get, or our mind, or our hearts. But she said, "We have about 6 drugs that we can use. They've been very effective, and we're going to give them the finest quality of life we can while we can." And I remember begging her, "What can we do? We're his mom and dad. We have to be able to do something. We know what you're going to do. What can we do?" And she said, "Well, by the way, you are going to need blood. Blood. 100 pints of blood to treat this disease." Well, I was 28 and pregnant. I had never given blood. My husband had never given blood. And actually, we didn't know anybody who ever used it. But we had to go out then in this world and find 100 people to give blood for our baby. Well, the news of Ricky's illness traveled very quick on our block and in our church, St. Philip's. And later on that night when we got home, we got a call from Barbara Herman. I'm sure you guys remember Bill Herman. He was one of the Knights. And she said, "What can I do?" And I said, "We need blood." She didn't just listen to me, she acted. She called Father Junta and they arranged to have a blood drive. The very first blood drive in August of '71 was held at St. Philip's Church. We collected 112 pints of blood. Problem solved, right? Not by a long shot. Because in the weeks and months has gone on, we realized there were many little Rickies, many people who were facing what we were facing. You see, the problem was in 1971, you had to buy your blood, $50 a pint. It's a lot of money then. Or replace it, 3 units to 1. That was the law. So we had to find people to give for him. And I was blessed. We were so blessed. We had neighbors that came, and we had many of the people that are sitting here today, Knights of Columbus, that participated in that first drive and have continued to participate in the drives for over 50 years, that have been there. One day when we were at the hospital, Ricky became very, very sick from the treatment. He started actually almost passing out, and they found out that his leukemia had gone into his brain. And they started him on methotrexate. Methotrexate is a very common cancer drug, putting it in his spine. His second dose caused him to be completely paralyzed from head to toe. And he lived that way for 3 years. We took him home, although he was in that hospital 32 times the very first year, back and forth and back and forth. On one of those visits, there was a lady in the room with her son, and she's sitting in a chair kind of rocking back and forth, and the tears are just running down her face. And I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Well, my son Dante is starting chemo today, and they told me I have to get blood for him." She said, "I work cleaning offices at night. That's how I support my family." And I said, "Well, I've been very blessed. Our community came together and friends, and they had a blood drive." And she goes, "Well, ma'am, I live in Cabrini Green. Who do you think I should ask for blood from there?" This is the thing that we saw over and over again at that hospital. That need was so great, especially with people with their children. Thank God the laws changed. 1976, it became a law in the state of Illinois. Anyone who needs blood gets it. You don't get charged for it. You don't have to replace it. The actual blood is free. Everything else around it, is covered by insurance or whatever, but the blood is free. What a blessing. But with that blessing came a sense of responsibility. We no longer could depend on hospitals collecting. We had to have agencies collecting. So blood could be collected from schools and companies and churches, just like the church we all go to. It was a great advancement. Along with that, St. Philip's had been having a blood drive every year in August, but in 1976, Barbara and the group of people she was working with, including me, went to the village hall and asked the mayor, could we become a village program? Let everybody participate, not just parishioners of St. Philip's. And they agreed. That's when the Blood Bank Commission first started in 1976. They did 6 blood drives a year, collected over 1,000 pints every single year. This program has continued to thrive and to grow. Maybe not as much blood as we used to take, because a lot of us were a lot younger and was easier for us to give. But the responsibility has never, ever ended. It goes on and on. People have said to me, well, can't they just store it? Can't they just put it somewhere when there's a lot of people giving? It's a great idea. The problem is blood's a living tissue. In '76, they also started breaking blood into components, 3 different parts: plasma, platelets, and red cells. And each one of those parts of the blood does something different. And today, very rarely do you hear of anybody getting whole blood. They get the part they need. So one person giving a pint of blood benefits 3 people. It's so miraculous. But again, there's a short term of her life. When you give red cells, or they take the red cells are the part of the blood that brings oxygen. You take a deep breath, you're pulling in oxygen, the red cells picks up that oxygen and feeds the rest of the cells in the body. It's the most used blood, is the red cells. Now, how long does it last? 42 days in refrigeration. And by that time, it's unusable because it dies. Plasma, on the other hand, is that watery part of the blood, and in that plasma floats minerals, proteins, gamma globulin, antibodies. That's used for burn victims and trauma victims. Now that can be frozen up to 1 year, and then it's not viable anymore. But platelets, those little sticky cells, they only last 5 days. After they're removed from someone donates it, they have to be put on a platform at room temperature and kept moving. Because if they stop, the platelets clot. That's what platelets do. They clot and keep you from bleeding to death. So they made great strides in how they use blood, why they use it. But again, if it doesn't come from people, it's not going to be there. They've never figured out a way to manufacture it at all. I'm happy to tell you that we have held 277 blood drives in this town since the beginning, since 1971. And the Knights of Columbus have been an integral part of every one of those drives. Here today we have Joanne Frost and Don Frost. Joanne's been with the commission since 1980. I see Janie over there. Her husband worked handing numbers out at our blood drives. Ben, we have had such support from all of you. Many of you have been donors and are still donors, or your kids come. That's what it's all about. I heard them talk about service. What ultimate service is there than to give part of who you are to someone else? Remember when I told you they break blood in 3 parts? Well, we've collected 33,340 pints of blood so far. And if you multiply that times 3, we could possibly have saved the lives of over 100,000 people. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. I can't say enough about Judy. She's been there since I can remember. And I can guarantee you, Judy, by what she does, saved and probably will continue to save until the day she dies, a lot of lives. So thank you, Judy. Mr. Hundley.
I'd like to welcome you all to this event. When I first became a Knight, I think it was one of the things we all looked forward to is all the hard work that we do, work in the corners. I know it was hard for us last year, and it's getting harder really because not only getting volunteers, but quite frankly, it's getting a lot more dangerous on the corners, you know, with the way people drive these days. But thanks to the hard work that Mike has done and my brother Knights and all of you, the organizations that are receiving money, we thank you for bringing the people out to help us, because without your support, we would not only not be able to raise the money for you, but we wouldn't be able to raise as much as we have over the years. I think one of the proudest things that we do is raising the money and the amount of money that we do raise, even in times where you wouldn't think that we'd be able to. I think one of the best years we had is, it's usually after tragedies, you know, 9/11, that year we raised a lot of money. And it just shows that as Americans and proud to live in this country, when there's a tragedy, we all seem to come together and support each other. So, you know, and I want to thank Mike for all the hard work that he's done. This is really, you know, people don't realize how hard of a project it is to not only get all the volunteers and to coordinate all that, and it takes, as soon as he's done, he starts it back all over the next day. It's kind of like the mayor's ball and other things that we participate in. But just want to thank you, Mike, for all your hard work on this, and I'm sure all the organizations appreciate everything you do.
See, everybody loves Tom. So we're going to get to the gist of for the reason why we're here. So this first check that we're giving away today is actually one that I'm very proud of. So one of the things that I love about living in Addison, being part of Addison, and I don't mean being part of Addison because I shop here. I mean being part of Addison because I'm able to help whoever needs the help that we can, whether it's the food pantry, whether it's Coach for Kids, whatever the case may be. If I could figure out how to do it, I'm always willing to try to help. So one of the things I actually love most so about a lot of things that we do here in town is to be able to work with different organizations. So one of the organizations, and actually our mayor actually was one of them, that kind of helped this process along a little bit, which at first I was like, I don't know what you get me in for, Rich, but it turned out to be a great group of people that I was pleasantly surprised by, and how nice they were, how nice they were to my wife, and how inviting that they were. So one of the things that were the first year that we're doing this is that, so we are in the Shriner's house, and this is the first year we will be donating money to the Shriner's Transportation. So a lot of people actually, they donate money to the Shriner's Hospital, which is always a great thing. But with some guidance from past potentate Lance Evans, he actually had said, you know, that there's actually an issue with getting the kids to the hospital. And it's not so much the kids, but it's also the family getting them there. So, so this money that we're donating to the Shriners is actually going to the Shriners Transportation. And we will be, so George, you want to come up? Thank you, George.
Thank you, Michael. I'd like to say, as Mike says, we're very pleased to be in the village of Addison, working with Mayor Veenstra in the village, and we're very proud of our facility, and we thank the Knights of Columbus for coming here year after year. And we're looking forward to working possibly together and getting some things. We found out about blood drives and different things. These gentlemen, this will be the next potentate. This is Tracy Bertram. He'll be potentate next year. Of course, Lance Evans, he was potentate back in 17. And the man to our far right is Rick Miller, and Rick handles a lot of our events here. He's a very important part of our team, and these gentlemen, I asked them to come up to receive this as well with me, but we're all an integral part, and we hope to work together with all of you people. And when you hear stories about the blood drives and what we do with the children, I know it gets us all in here, and if it doesn't, you don't have a heart. But that's what we're all about, helping people, the Shriners as well as the Knights. Thank you so much, and this will be put to very good use. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
What a great group, what a great group of guys. So our next recipient of this year's money. So we've actually started, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. We were approached by the Village of Addison again. Would you like to participate with Shop with a Hero? In some villages, it's actually called Shop with a Cop. And then, you know, but a lot of times my council members are like, why do you keep saying yes? But I was like, okay, we got to help. They asked, so we're going to say yes. So one of the things the Village of Addison and Rich Feetstra had asked us to do was to do Shop with a Hero. So this is actually a thing that we do once a year at Christmas time to help underprivileged kids. So Roy, you want to come up? So Roy Salvik is the deputy chief. Sorry.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
I say.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Knights, very much. You know, this last year was very, very difficult, as you're all aware. We weren't exactly sure how we were going to accomplish this, but with a generous donation from the Knights, we put together a plan and went out and actually delivered gifts to 80 children and 40 families that wouldn't have gotten anything if not for your generous contributions. So this means more than you know. So thank you all very much.
So this next one is, I've actually known about them for quite a while. And I was like, you know, I wasn't exactly sure what they did. And one of the things that I'll say as a council, we always wanted to make sure that whoever we gave our money to was going to be a good steward of our money. So one of the things that us as a council, and I think everybody should do this as an organization, should be very aware of what percentage of every dollar that you bring in is how much are you giving away. We actually have always been between the 75 and 85% of every dollar that we brought in has actually been given out. Of course, you got to buy papers, you got to buy staples. You know, there's that. You know, and you have to put the event on. You know, but like you said, you know, it's between 75 and 85% we give that money away. So it wasn't not that I was doubting Catholic Charities. Pete, you want to come on up? Not that I was ever doubting Catholic Charities, but I really wasn't know what their mission was. So I got to meet Pete over the last couple of years. I was at a meeting with him a couple months ago, and I was really impressed by what he had to say. And I looked into Catholic Charities, and I actually looked into Pete. So
I'm all over the internet.
So I found a good cause, so our council decided to donate money to the Catholic Charities this year.
Thank you very much. So Mike did ask me to just say a few words about the agency, so if you bear with me here, I just want to share a little bit. As Mike said, I'm Pete Kinsella. I'm the Senior Development Officer for Catholic Charities. And on behalf of the agency, I just want to thank my brother Knights from the Council 650 for this very generous gift. Catholic Charities, we are the charity of the Catholic Church. We answer Christ's call to serve those most in need every single day. There's 160 different Catholic Charities agencies throughout the United States, and here, the Catholic Charities Diocese of Joliet, we're about a $25 million agency. We serve about 60,000 people on an annual basis, and we employ about 250 people. Most importantly, we serve all who come to us, regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, religion, political beliefs, lifestyle. If you're in need, we're going to do whatever we can to help you, as Christ would have done. And we're in the same 7 counties served by the Diocese of Joliet, which is DuPage, Will, Kankakee, Kendall, Fort Iroquois, and Grundy. Your generous gift, Mike, and the rest of my brother Knights is going to be used in our community services programs throughout DuPage County. Community services includes emergency services, homeless prevention, our homeless shelter, and our supportive housing programs throughout DuPage County. How many of you know that we have a homeless shelter in DuPage County? So a few of you. So we have the Kathy Paulson Hope House homeless shelter, which is in Villa Park. We operate, just in DuPage County, 60 supportive housing units. We actually have a 3-flat in Addison that we house families in. Our supportive housing and transitional housing, we're working with chronically homeless individuals and families, and our goal is to help them to become self-sufficient and with a goal of eventually finding permanent housing. If you'd like any additional information about Catholic Charities, please stop me at the end of the event. I'd be happy to visit with you. If you are on Facebook, if you go to our page and like it, and if you're on LinkedIn, go to our page and follow it. I'd be very appreciative of that. Again, Brother Knight, thank you so much for this gift. We're very appreciative of what the Knights are doing. God bless you.
So I know, like, as a parent, you're never supposed to have favorite children. And that's what my mother used to tell me, but and I can guarantee you I was not my mother's favorite. But this is one of my favorite children. More so one of my favorite causes. Again, Addison's a great place to live. I could just tell you that. Again, with the help of the Village of Addison, we as the council met this organization, and it's been off to the races ever since. Can't say enough about them. They are truly an organization that helps veterans. And I still can't talk about it without getting emotional. Donna, you want to come on up?
I thought you were going to keep talking. Okay. I'll talk a little bit then. Thank you for coming up here with me, as Allen Force is truly a family organization. We have our roots that started here in Addison, actually with Northeast DuPage Special Rec Association, that first had the idea and the original grant to start up what's called the Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies program for injured veterans. And at the request of that first grant that they received, which was just for post 9/11 veterans, I said, I don't understand why we just serve one era. And so the director at the time said, of course, we'll find money somewhere else to put towards it as well, and all eras of veterans were served there in 2009. By 2011, the program had grown so much, and there were so many people that were involved with it that said, you know, my sister served, she lives in Wisconsin. My brother served, you know, he lives over, you know, not in one of NEDSRA's districts. How do we get this growing? And NEDSRA said, Donna, we didn't imagine this. Take it and run. You have our blessing. So for that, I thank them. And Allen Force was born. You're getting me all emotional now. So many of the veterans that started with us at the original pilot program in Addison, thank you, they said, we've got your back, we got to make this happen. So being a recreational therapist, I wasn't in the business world, I hadn't started organizations and all that, so we had a lot of help to start this off and a lot of veterans behind it saying this needs to happen. So we serve now, after being founded officially in 2012, we are up to more than 2,500 veterans and families served in more than 8 counties regularly around the state of, around the Chicago area. And sorry. This just hits home a lot. There have been so many lives saved. I had a phone call in the middle of the night last night from one of our veterans who was in crisis mode. And unfortunately, I wasn't wakened by the phone call, but I did find out that he, from a lot of support from the other veterans in this organization and a lot of wonderful past counseling from the VAs and vet centers and whatnot, he got himself to Hines for help, and he's working the steps. So as you know, the suicide rate within the veteran culture, as well as first responders, is 3 times higher within the veteran culture than in society in general. So your support, creating this family and this community with those who have served, I can't tell you the impact that it makes, and many people don't ever realize it. So it'll be a blessing when those midnight phone calls of need are no longer needed because of the multiple services and multiple community organizations out there are available to serve them. Sorry for the emotions, but it does hit close to home. So thank you all for your support. And for those of you, the Knights of Columbus, I'm wearing my grandfather's pin. He was a 4th degree knight. My future father-in-law was welcome this morning to serve with the Knights here at St. Philip's. It was a beautiful mass this morning. And your favorite deacon did a great job. And it was just fantastic. It's been wonderful being part of this community for so many years. So thank you all. And Mayor, it's great to see you again too. There you are. And welcome back post-COVID, everybody. So let's keep that isolation away and that community going. I had up here with me Samantha, who is doing her internship with us from Aurora University, Larry Krogh, Marine Corps veteran, Special Forces, Vietnam, and Mickey Magnifico, Iraq veteran, Army. Thank you.
So this next, this next recipient is somebody I actually found out. So sometimes you go to like a seminar or a Knights convention or a Shriners convention or whomever it could be, and then you hear these, these almost like an info commercial. Like, this is the best thing. This is the best thing. And a lot of times you're like, oh yeah, that is great. Oh yeah, this is great. Honestly, don't remember where I was at, but for me, I'm a big pro-life guy. And for somebody that's not a pro-life person, I just don't really understand. The life of a baby from day one, why you would want to exterminate their life is just way beyond me. It's just, a life is a life, no matter what. So one of the things I actually heard about, that there is a organization within the Knights. It's actually called the Father McGivney Hope and Healing House. And I'm gonna let Joe, you wanna come up? I'll let Joe explain a little bit better because I'm probably gonna say more than probably the same thing. But I really appreciate what the Father McGivney House does, the Hope and Healing. And our council cannot be more pleased to be part of the Hope and Healing House.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Forgive me, I'm short. I have to bring the mic down. On page 7 of your ad book, it basically explains what the Knights of Columbus pro-life action is about. It is about life in all its stages. Picture a girl unexpectedly being pregnant, having no idea what to do. The person that she had this child with abandoned her. Her family abandons her. Where did she go? She has no hope. The pro-life movement has lots of agencies to help her. But one that we really believe in our Father McGivney Center of Hope and Healing is a place for them to go to be secure, to be able to learn the skills that they need to become good mothers and to have this baby and be joyful about it, and people around them to be joyful for her and to continue to help. That is the purpose of the McGivney Centers of Hope and Healing. When it first started, the Knights of Columbus, we honored we would give memorials. People would make donations for memorials. We would spend $10,000 on memorials that we place in front of churches. And one of our board members stated, that $10,000 that you put for that monument could be used to better use. And we realized that. And we changed the mindset of our members to remember the women. So again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. One of your areas or homes that you help is the Nativity Center, which is in the Joliet Diocese, and it is our pleasure that we support them with lots of benefits from that. Again, these homes are, people try to go places. They get filled up sometimes, and we just try to nurture them and help them the best we can. So again, thank you for all your efforts, and keep the pro-life movement in your heart and in your prayers. God bless.
Thank you. One of the things I just recently heard about the Hope and Healing House was that once the girl is there, and once she actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, once the girl is there and she actually does have her baby, that doesn't mean that she has the baby and the next week she has to go. I don't remember what the time frame is, but they let the mom and the baby stay there, and they teach the new mom on how to care for that baby, and they also teach her how to be on her own as far as financially, because a lot of times, believe it or not, people don't know how to handle their checkbook. So they teach her how to be a mother. They teach her how to be independent. And if you're giving these moms these tools to live on their own and take care of their babies, what more can you ask than that? So I can't say more than enough about the Father McGivney House. So the next one we have here is Ray Graham. There you are. How you doing, sir? Yeah.
Thank you to the Damon Hildebrand Council 650 for supporting Ray Graham. We are honored to be a part of this group of recipients. Just hearing the great work that the Knights do in supporting the community, there's so much synergy with what we do at Ray Graham. Our mission is to empower people with disabilities to reach, grow, and achieve. We are very proud of the fact that 87 cents of every dollar that comes to Ray Graham goes directly towards the mission. We serve 2,000 families and individuals. We are internationally accredited and have been for 24 years by the Council for Quality and Leadership. All of that put together speaks to what the Knights do. We're about community, we're about helping people, and we have a person-centered approach. I'm just going to give you some highlights. Camping on a deserted island, flying a plane, learning to walk for the first time you can get out of the wheelchair, learning communication when you become nonverbal because of the disease you have, breast cancer awareness training, that then one of the people we serve did her self-exam and early detection saved her life. Those are the things we do at Ray Graham, and we are very, very happy to be a part of the recipient group this year from the Knights of Columbus. Thank you very much.
So this next one, and I have to say, I almost have to apologize. So I don't know if every parish does, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen like the St. Vincent de Paul stores where you can either go buy stuff or give stuff, or, bring stuff there. But a lot of parishes actually have a charter. I'm not exactly sure what the name of it would be inside each parish. And then I've seen that where they do a clothes drive or they do a fund drive or whatever. And quite honestly, really never participated, I have to admit. But this year we wanted to rectify that, and we wanted to make sure that, they became part of the Knights along with us so we can help them. Rick, where you at? Rick, there you are. Come on, you want to come up? So this year this is the first year, and if we have in the past, I really don't know, but this is the first year that our council is donating to the St. Vincent de Paul as part of our parish.
We appreciate this, Mike. Thanks to your generosity and the generosity of others, people in the area, we've never had to turn people away because we couldn't have the funds to take care of them. So thank you very much.
I thought he'd be a little longer. I was a little thirsty. So this next one, again, we've actually have donated in the past already, in the last, I want to say year and a half, couple years. Again, this is something that was started by the township. I'm not sure the whole dynamics of it. I'm sure when they come up here, they can maybe explain a little bit more. I know it was a little work between Dennis Rubiletti and our mayor. Honestly, don't really know the dynamics of it, but there's a food pantry here in Addison that the Shriners have supported that I can't be more happier about, and then to be part of them, and then for them to help support another organization here in town. Donna, are you here? Not you, Donna. Donna Zavello, Township? There you are. Is Larry, is your wife here? Pam, you coming up too?
Donna couldn't make it.
Oh.
But thank you.
Explain a little bit about that.
Hi, I'm Pam Moretti. I serve on the Addison Township Board along with the Foundation Board. And I do want to thank the Shriners. You guys were fantastic during the food drives. But when the pandemic first started, we were serving 1,000 families a month. It was like nothing you'd ever seen, but thanks to this, we can help continue with our residents. Thank you.
This next one, sorry, I need a little drink. Kristen, Mrs. Seaforth, Nezra, there you are. I tease Kristen all the time. She likes to be called Mrs. Seaforth.
Now I always have to bring this really down, sorry. Well, Mike, first of all, thank you for putting on such a beautiful event for everybody in Addison and all the work that you do. Knights, thank you guys for always recognizing not only Nezra, but all the nonprofits and the people that are needed for your help in Addison area, so thank you. NESRA serves over 3,500 individuals, unique individuals a year, individuals with disabilities for both physical and mental disabilities, as well as veterans, as Donna mentioned earlier, healthy minds, healthy bodies. We do have a participant with us today. She would like to say a few words, but I would just want to let you guys know that your money goes to us being able to provide and continue to provide our programs and services to those that need them, not only in Addison area, but 11 community member areas. Yvonne. So I welcome Yvonne. She is one of our favorite participants.
Good afternoon. Here's what NESRA means to me. The first thing I want to say is that with NESRA, I was able to grow more socially and make friends, which wasn't easy for me until I got to NESRA. A simple thank you isn't enough for all you have done for the participants. Maybe you have heard of these places on the moon: the Sea of Tranquility, the Ocean of Storms, the Farmore Highlands. There's also a place called the Lake of Dreams, and NESRA is my Lake of Dreams, where they came true. And NESRA kept us together both virtually and in person during the craziness from last year. And I am proud, happy, and thrilled to be part of the NESRA family. Thank you.
Thank you guys, and thank you for having us.
Thank you. Excuse me, this next one, John, is John here? Reitzenberger? Oh, there you are. I thought I saw you. Gateway to Learning.
Thank you, Mike, for allowing me to follow that speech. So I'm going to state the most obvious thing in the world. This past year has been very difficult. That is no different at Gateway to Learning. So Gateway to Learning, we are a community day service program for adults with intellectual challenges and developmental disabilities. 2 years ago when I was here, I was the Director of Advancement. Today, Director of Operations. Why? We've had to adapt. We've had to change. We've had to just overcome and analyze everything that we do during this past year. March last year, we shut down. We did not reopen until September 1st. That was a time of 107 adults with intellectual disabilities and challenges who were pretty much at home. Most of our participants live at home with their family members, weren't getting social skills, were not continuing to learn all of the skills, the life skills, the job skills, and everything we've been teaching for years, for 46 years at Gateway to Learning. Some of those skills were going to go away. I'm proud of our team at Gateway to Learning because we kept going. We weren't getting paid. Then the state said, sure, you guys can keep going, we're gonna pay you, but we weren't meeting in person. We were very much a hands-on organization, and guess what? We learned and adapted. We created online virtual learning. We weren't getting paid by the state for that, but we were doing it. Our staff were working during this time. We were keeping our staff employed. We were keeping participants engaged socially and mentally. We reopened in September. We had 107. We're now down to 50. We've had to lay off a third of our staff. This year's been tough. It's been extremely tough. We've had people experience homelessness. We've had individuals, our participants, in the hospital due to mental breakdowns. We've just had a number of challenges. But Gateway to Learning is still here. We're growing, we're getting back. Right now, we've got 60 people in our services. And each day we're continuing to get individuals back, whether vaccinated or not. We still have the state limiting what we can do, rightfully so, for health and safety. But that's been our number one standard, is the health of each one of our participants mentally and physically. So as we continue to get back It's donations such as this and your hard work that is keeping us going and keeping us moving forward. We will get back to where we were. We will continue to develop and work with the individuals that we have. So thank you very much.
Hey, John, I have one question for you. So a few years ago, I don't know how long ago you guys opened it. So John invited us down to come and take a look, and I was like, sure, I'll come down and take a look. And they're in the city. It's like 5,400?
I have 5,000 North Lincoln.
5,000 North Lincoln. And at the particular time, my favorite German restaurant was still open too. So saw him, went to my favorite German restaurant. So it was fun to go, got to see everything. But one of the things they actually, they opened, I know it's kind of a far drive, and if anybody's ever around there, is the bakery open yet?
We'll cater your desserts next year.
There you go. So one of the things they actually, if I'm saying this right, life skills, you guys?
Job skills.
So life skills, job skills that they teach the participants that go to Gateway. They actually, they have a bakery that's inside Gateway. And they make everything there, they sell everything there, and I eat everything there. So.
Thank you very much.
And I did it. Those kolaches were pretty good. So next one is Easter seals. There you go. Thank you.
On behalf of Easter Seals, I would like to thank the Knights of Columbus for their continued support. Like the previous, this year has been rough on us. We went from previously seeing 1,000 clients a week to seeing nobody when we closed. We switched to teletherapy, which was beneficial, but it's very difficult sometimes for the families to have the equipment that's needed to provide the support. So in July, we reopened, and we reopened only seeing 200 clients a week. We're now back to about 800 a week with modifications in our buildings. So basically, my department, I'm the volunteer coordinator, and I basically am working on my home because I don't need to be there. So everybody's office has been taken over because we're still doing very much a lot of teletherapy, but having to support our other therapy services, they've taken over our offices, our meeting rooms, so they can be separated and socially distanced. Our clients are still, majority of our clients are under the age of 10, so they're still not in that age group where they're vaccinated. So we have no visitors coming to our buildings, no volunteers. So it's been very a new experience, I guess is what you could say. So this very much helps provide those services to those families with ongoing support. Because we haven't had our big fundraisers and things like that in person. So this will help very much with those families in need. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. So this next one was actually brought to us by a fellow brother knight. I'm not sure, Tim, you want to come up? I wasn't sure on how they actually met. But his name is Don McComb. He actually introduced us to this group that's coming up here, Tim and Anthony. They do great work, and I can have them explain a little bit about what they do. But since Don McComb and fellow brother Knight actually said, can we help them? We've been on board with them ever since.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Knights. Wow, in the presence of greatness. And we've been through a lot, and you all know that. I know that. I think the gist of this is it takes a village. I grew up in Chicago. I worked at Shriners for over 30 years. So Shriners has a special place in my heart. I still have a trailer at Shriners with a bunch of stuff in it that they've let me keep there, and my wife works there, so you gotta be nice to both of them, please. The Knights have been my brothers, my friends. and helped us do what we do. The need has not diminished because of COVID, but we've had to pivot because of COVID. So what we do as an organization, we call it a MacGyver clinic, and it's an all-volunteer organization. Anthony and I met coaching our daughters in local sports here in Addison, and we have a monthly clinic where we refurbish medical equipment and give it away for nothing. And it's extraordinary to see, it's extraordinary to touch, but we haven't been able to do that. And we shut down as well, like everyone else, in March of last year. We had our last clinic, and we put everything on hold, but we had multiple Zoom meetings and said, what can we do safely, because our children have special needs and we didn't want them to get sick or our volunteers to get sick. So we ordered a bunch of PPE and decided to just do adaptive strollers, which if you have a child with special needs, they can't necessarily go to Costco or Walmart and get a stroller. They need more support. So we had to purchase those strollers. So in the scheme of what things cost, that put us on the hook for about $100,000 to meet our mission. And I have to say, we started our clinics again last June. We served 120 children last year, and we have surpassed that this year in 2021. And we're actually having discussions about starting our MacGyver clinics again. Unfortunately, I lost my space. So we need space. If you have a corner of a warehouse you'd like to donate. And I have to start gathering equipment again so we could do our equipment. Porter Pipe has helped us. I noticed the names in the brochure. There's a lot of familiar names and faces, but we have helped. Since we started in 2005, we're gonna be 16 years old this year. We've served over 3,000 children. We've handled over 10,000 pieces of equipment, probably more than that. And if we don't use it, we pay it forward to muscular dystrophy, United Cerebral Palsy. We send things to Mexico, to Vietnam, overseas. And we don't like things to get dusty and sit around and do nothing. So we give stuff away. We can't do it without folks who show up and schlep and build, and people who are handy with their hands, because a piece of equipment is often the difference between a life of solitude and limitation and a life of independence, and that's what drives us as the Kids Equipment Network. And we couldn't do it without the help of the Knights and other organizations such as those here. And I was just thinking, we were talking this morning about, gosh, what if we can share this concept with every town in Illinois, every town in the US, every town across the world? What a great place it would be. So if you'd like to come and see what we do, we'd love to have you. We have a clinic next Saturday up the road, and if you'd like some information, we're tken.org. Thank you for everything, and thank you for your support. Thank you.
So one thing I'm actually kind of hearing out of everybody that's come up here, and I actually knew this, and I know I've said it myself, but I think for the most part, I think it needs to be said again. So the money, everybody that's here that does these things, you know, whether it's pro-life, whether it's veterans, or whether it's mentally challenged, or whatever the organization, or Judy doing blood drives. It doesn't matter if there's COVID. It doesn't matter if there's a flu outbreak. It doesn't matter if there's no money. The fact is that there's these people in need that don't, it's not that they don't care, but there's still that need. They still need that help because they are either disabled or a veteran that may need the help. So the theme of today is everything that's gone on for the last year, these people still needed our help. And from what I could see, everybody's still willing and wanting to help, because yeah, we did what we did, but it was also with the help of everybody here. So this last person is Danny here? I didn't see her. Danny, you want to come up? So Danny Brink, she's actually representing District 88 this year. So I actually have 2 checks for her. We actually do support with the Best Buddies program and also District 88 Life Transition. They couldn't be here today, so Danny Brink, who's a very special person, is actually got to take the check for the both of them.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you. I will be brief. I know I'm last, so we'll be brief here. But just want to thank everybody who's here today and to the Knights of Columbus for your continued support. As Mike said, and as everyone has mentioned, the needs of our students did not stop this year because of COVID. We had to adapt. They had to adapt. We still needed to meet their needs. And the biggest word we used this year was connect. We needed to stay connected, especially to our students with disabilities. So through the Best Buddies program, in normal years, they would do a friendship walk, they host events and gatherings at the school, but it's a way for those students who have disabilities to feel connected and to build those relationships. And again, even this year with COVID, we were able to do that. We had about 25 students participate in the Best Buddies Club this year, and we did a lot of online activities such as trivia games, bingo, scavenger hunts, things like that to just, again, keep that connection. They would do phone calls, Zoom meetings with their buddies. So we kept that going, and it's because of the partnerships and because of the support from groups like Knights of Columbus that we are able to continue to do that. And our transition program is a program for students who are 18 to 21 years old who have disabilities. They learn life skills and they get job training out in the community. So thank you to many of the groups who are here today who are part of that program and provide those vocational training opportunities for our students. Again, even this year, we didn't sit back. We set up mock sites. So even though they couldn't be out in the community physically, they were learning those skills at our mock sites that we had set up. So learning restaurant skills, grocery shopping, office skills, so they are ready to go. And we look forward to having them back out in the community in the fall. And we also are always looking for new community partners for that program. So if anyone is interested, we would be happy to work with you and see how our students can help with your needs. We also at the Addison Public Library have what's called the Perks and Possibilities Cafe. So our transition program students run that, and they literally help with the money. They make the coffee, they make the food. This year they're excited to even expand that, and they're going to be doing greeting cards, coasters, some decorations. So feel free to stop by the Addison Public Library. They would love to see you and help you. And we just want to thank everybody again. Both of these clubs were a passion of our superintendent, Dr. Scott Helton, who passed away this past December. And we really appreciate all the community support who shares that same vision that Dr. Helton had. And Dr. Jean Barbonente is our new superintendent, who apologizes that she couldn't be here today, but she looks forward to continuing that vision and working with all of you. So thank you so much again for all your support.
On behalf of Council 650, Damon Hildebrand, I'm glad you were here. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. And to finish off our afternoon, like always, my favorite deacon.
I have to admit, I have a very sensitive soul. Sure, after all the years that I've been doing these kind of things, I was a practicing trial lawyer. I never cried in court until I lost. And I've been preaching at churches and giving talks. I never know what is going to hit me. I can't talk. I actually hate getting that email or call from Mike saying, oh, by the way, we're having the breakfast, and would you please come? I tried to make an excuse this year because he said, it's going to be a limited number of people who are going to be able to come, so, sign up fast. So I made sure I didn't sign up so that I would be one of the ones left out. Because I realized that every time I come, my heart is cut. I hear stories all these stories about people who hurt so much. And they continue to hurt. And I know God is good. God walks us through and holds our hands to get through these things. But people suffer through no fault of their own. People need assistance because they can't do it themselves. They are in constant pain of all kinds. And are looking forward to having somebody help them. I had back surgery in December. When I woke up, I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. It's a very unusual situation that you can't do anything and you have to rely on everybody to do everything for you. And I knew I was going to be able to recuperate. But many of these people can't. They are where they're at, and that's minor changes. But a minor change for somebody who can't do anything is a major change. And you all recognize how hard it's been for you and your organizations to deal with the pandemic and all the things that go with it. How are you able to actually do that? It still amazes me. And it amazes me, it was pointed out that after 9/11, they collected more money than ever. God works in mysterious ways. He gives people who are the helpers the strength, the ability, the friends, the relationships to get things done. So that you can come here and say, I put in the time and the energy, and I'm able to help these people who can't help themselves. And I can hand out money to people who will then be able to use that money to help people, even though I may not be the person to do it. But I know that every effort that's made, every Tootsie Roll that's eaten is going to help somebody. I applaud those of you who are the ones doing the work. I applaud you who simply give the money, because if you don't give the money, the people doing the work is not going to have it. I thank those who work day to day to try to help people with the police officers and first responders, and those who help the veterans, those who are veterans. The Shriners who help all the people in their hospital and the things that they do. Every one of us here has been gifted in some way. We should appreciate those special gifts that we have. Whether we've been gifted to be the mayor of the village, a trustee, a knight, or a deacon. We've been given special gifts by God. We can never repay that, but we can certainly try every single day. May God bless all of you and the whole world, because we need more of you, because our world is a mess. But by step, we can each take a step of our own to help the world become a better place. And thank you so much.
So this is going to be the favorite part of the afternoon. Our brunch has ended. Thank you all for coming.